A boat catching fire dozens of miles off of Florida's Gulf Coast last month. A Mayaca City couple scrambling for survival.
This is video of what firefighters from Naples were battling in the Gulf of Mexico last month, 30 miles southwest of Marco Island.
Okay. About 5 years ago, we decided to take a trip in our sailboat to the Dry Tortuga. So we wanted to do some sailing and do some snorkeling around the beach, and really had a pretty uneventful trip down there. There's a few weird things with the boat that happened that we didn't really think too much about, but we had a really couple of nice days out on the water and just really relaxed, and started to head back and hit some really rough water. Typically, we would be stationed up in the tower looking out over the water. But because the water was so choppy, I was really seasick. And so we were on the lower level. And we're watching some TV, and that's when we noticed some smoke. And so then Glenn...
I opened up the hatch to the engine room, and the entire cabin immediately filled up with smoke. And it was an electrical fire started somewhere back around the generator room. So I sent Amy up on the bridge with the two puppies to call Mayday. And you couldn't go in the cabin because the smoke would just choke you to death. So I got a fire extinguisher by the door, and I used that, and I used the wash down pump until it went out, spraying it in there, and nothing slowed it down. So then I go up on the bridge, and the Mayday calls weren't going through, probably because of the electrical fire. And so now the smoke's starting to come up through the controls in the bridge. So we moved down to the bow of the boat at that point.
Yeah, and we were about 30 miles off of Marco Island, so there was no cell service at all. It was probably the worst place you could ever get stranded. And go ahead.
And the route from Marco to Dry Tortugas is 120 miles. And most people run up and down the coast to the Keys, so hardly anybody runs out in that area. So we just, on the front of the boat, we just prayed, and God gave us this peace that only He can give. And this is how pretty much excited we were through the whole ordeal.
And then you got the raft.
Yeah, so I went back and I had a bunch of dock lines. So I tied all them together and make a long rope to tie to the back of the boat, to tie it to the raft. And the boat is anchored with chains, so it's not going anywhere. So if the boat sank, we'd still be tethered there and not drifting out to sea. So then we proceeded to do some other things on the boat, and we got the raft ready and the kayak tied to it, throw the life jackets in. We had like a partial bottle of water in the raft, that's all we had.
Couple boxes of cereal.
So I knew in the kitchen where some stuff was on the kitchen counter. So I took off the spare anchor and I busted out the window, took a gaff hook and reached in there. I couldn't see. I just felt around and started pulling stuff out. And I got a couple gallon jugs of water and some boxes of cereal, and we threw them in the raft. And doing a little more, I was still throwing a 5-gallon bucket of water in the cabin, just trying to slow it down, hoping somebody would see us. And I spilt some water on the deck plate where you put the fuel in. And when the water hit that deck plate, it just boiled. And looked at Amy and I said, that means one of the hoses to one of the 4 fuel tanks is now on fire. We probably should get off the boat. So we go to the back of the boat to get in the raft, and the raft's gone. Standing looking off the back of the boat, I see it way back there. It's like 100 yards away, drifting away. And I just looked at Amy and says, I got to get it, and I dove in. I didn't hesitate. I didn't want to think about it. It was the only chance of survival, basically. So I swam and swam and swam, finally get to the raft, climb up on it, look back at the boat now, and the boat's gotten smaller, and Amy's on a dive platform. Now I'm 200 yards from the boat. So I start paddling and looking down at the water, and I'm going nowhere. So I untied the kayak and I started paddling, and one oar is partially broke, so it's really kind of hard to paddle one like that. But I was getting close, paddling back toward the boat, and I could hear Amy yelling back there, but I couldn't understand what she was saying until I got closer. As I got closer, She's saying, I love you. I love you. That's all she's saying.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, he's got the raft, he's got the water, he's got the food, and I'm on a burning boat with 2 hours. So when he finally got back, we got on the raft, and the devotional we had done that morning was Tony Evans, and it was following God's purpose for your life. Basically said it doesn't mean that your life's going to be trial-free or without tribulation. But what God does promise is to give you the perseverance to get through it. And so we kind of try to focus on that scripture. And we thought about Paul and Silas in prison singing. And so I had said to Glenn, I said, I'm going to sing praises. At the time, we can only think about Jesus loves me, so that was our song. But the peace, and I remember thinking, this is it. We're not going to make it, because we thought it'd be a few days before anybody would find us if we were lucky. But just feeling sadness in the sense that I wish I could say goodbye to people that I loved. That was my sadness. But I felt peace that I know where I'm going. My only fear was how I was going to die. I didn't want to starve to death or be eaten by sharks by any means. But just knowing where I was going, it was just, there was a peace. And while we were on the boat, probably half an hour, the boat exploded. And so
once we got in the raft, and the raft got all the way out as far as it could go with the ropes, then the boat shot up in 20-foot flames. It could have done that any time we were on the boat, but God was in control. So, and scuba tanks and stuff started blowing up, and debris was actually falling past us in the raft. And as it's coming through the air, I'd paddle sideways, and it's come through there, paddle back the other way, so we didn't get hit by burning debris and sink the raft.
Yeah. You know, the amazing part is, had I not been sick, we would have been on the bridge, and it would have been too late. But because I was sick, right, we were in that lower level.
On the bridge, we would not have smelled the smoke behind the boat. Yeah. And it probably would have been in flames before we knew it.
Yeah.
So it was another God thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the raft, 2.5 hours, and I see a boat coming. I look at my watch, and this is what I thought. Really? We're only here 2.5 hours, God, and you're rescuing us already? So I'll take it. It was a Key West Express running from Fort Myers to Key West. They run it down the coast, and the lady on the boat saw the smoke, and she asked the guy in the boat, the crew member, how come there's smoke on land? He said, land's the other way. So they knew something was burning out in the Gulf. So they were 9 miles inland when they saw the smoke. So they come around, they're coming up to us, and it's a double-decker, and everybody's up on the rails, you know, everybody's getting pictures and videos, and we pass the puppies up first, and then Amy goes up. Then when I get up on the boat and step on the deck, everybody's clapping and cheering and yelling. And
a line of people hugging us and praying for us.
Yeah, there was a line of people waiting to hug us until they were praying ever since I saw the smoke.
Yeah. One of the things that was really special about that boat also is that Tim actually married us on that boat. So there was some sad memories, you know, it was a sad memory of that being gone, and that memory, it's still there, but it was just, it was a special place in our hearts. So, because I guess we have another boat to make new memories. Yeah, the other thing that was when we were in the raft, and at the time we'd only been married like 1.5 years, and I said, spent a great 1.5 years, no regrets, and he says, I don't think our story's finished yet. And, you know, when the Key West Express, another God thing is that they left the excursion 30 minutes early.
They were all talking about it, and they didn't know why.
Had they not left early, they would have never
might not have seen the smoke.
So, you know, there was really just 3 things that were, you know, me being sick, the Key West Express, and then just that devotion, that peace of God that, you know, got us through it, and ultimately, you know, kept us sane. And I remember we did, you know, as soon as we got off the boat, the media was there, And they're like, wasn't it really, really scary and all that? And I was like, yeah, it really was.
We messed up the interview. We said, no, it really wasn't.
Yeah, and we probably did 6 or 7 interviews, and what I told every single one, to me, it was a win-win. Either we're going to get rescued or we're going to heaven. And they were both a win-win. And so that's what really kept us through the whole thing. And, we really didn't have any injuries. We inhaled a lot of smoke during that time, but it just really gave us a peace. And that's one of the things that we share when we do our grief share class with people that have lost a loved one that know the Lord is God gives you that peace. If you feel like it's your time for your life on earth to end, He gives you that peace that it's going to be over quickly, and then you're going to be with Him. And that's really what I think kept us going.
Mm-hmm. And the only thing we had with us was my phone. That's it. Everything else burned up in the boat. We have no IDs, no wallet, purses, nothing. We're like homeless people with no IDs. Mm-hmm. So as we're getting toward Fort Myers, her son knew where we were pretty much on the trip, keep an eye on us. And so I called him up when he got in phone range. I said, hey, Corey, how's it going? He says, oh, pretty good. I said, you think you guys can give us a ride home tonight? He got real quiet. He said, what do you mean? I gave the phone to Amy.
Yeah, our kids appreciated us a lot more after that little experience of like, we can still text you and you can still respond. Mm-hmm. So give our kids and grandkids a greater appreciation, because you never know. Your life can be taken that quickly. So it's a great learning experience. And so when life gets rough a little bit, like it could be worse. We could be stranded in a raft in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. And then a couple of days later, the 700 Club called us. And the guy that called was the one that writes the scripts for the movies. He didn't ask. He said, we're going to do a movie about your boat fire. Mm-hmm. So I went into a bunch of details and stuff. And they said, what do you think? I said, well, I just got one stipulation. I want The Rock to play my part. Mm-hmm.